Hey guys, it's Travis Mortz again with the ForesthillFilmLab. Today I just wanted to take some time to talk to you guys about technique and just looking at things a little bit differently. Um, this may seem like a video, kind of cheesy video for those experienced photographers out there, but basically I just want to talk to you guys about how I see things, and maybe it'll make you guys look at things a little bit differently. So um, we're not really going to be talking about any cameras today. It's mostly just going to be technique and some theories I have, I suppose. But hopefully you guys enjoy, and hopefully you learn something. So we'll get started. So I recently spent some time out at Woodward West, which is a action sports camp for kids. And when I go out there, I'm the photo instructor. I only go out a couple times a year, but when I am there, I get to deal with young photographers that don't have much experience in this profession, and they're very eager to learn. And because of that, I usually end up talking a lot and teaching them different things about my passion and why I care about this. So basically, I just wanted to share some of the things with you guys that I've shared with them, and basically my technique and how I see the world, and basically try to inspire, I guess, some of you guys out there to maybe see things the same way or a little differently than you already do. So basically, what I first wanted to talk about was pre-visualizing your shot. When I spent some time out at camp, I kept telling the kids, you have to pre-visualize, you have to pre-visualize, but that's kind of for most photographers, that's second nature. We already know that. But if you're not consciously thinking about it, or you haven't consciously gone out and tried to do it, it could be a little bit more difficult. So I kind of just wanted to break that down for you guys the best way I see possible. It's kind of a weird thing to explain, but I'm going to do my best. So bear with me. Um, so basically, pre-visualizing your shot is looking at the world in terms of taking a photograph. As we all know, taking a photograph is putting borders around something, but more than that, it's what are we putting borders around? What exactly do we want to capture? We have the whole world available to us. Our eyes can see more than any camera lens can see. With peripheral vision and all that stuff. So basically, we have to walk around and see things before we photograph them. And with the digital age coming the way it has, it's been a lot easier to do that because it's less pre-visualizing and more, shooting and checking later. And that's all fine and good, but that's not how you make a good photograph. You don't make a good photograph by shooting 100 and then picking two later. The way you make a photograph, the way you actually make an image that you want, is by seeing it before you shoot it. And the only way to do that is, like I said, pre-visualizing your shot. So, for instance, looking at something, any subject, you have a fixed perspective on it when you're using a camera. I feel like a lot of people don't think about the fact that, of course, your photograph is a fixed perspective. It's a still image, but because of that, changing the perspective of your camera, changing the height of your camera, changing the angle of your camera changes your image, you know, so much. So because of that, perspective is one of the main things that you should think about when you're pre-visualizing a shot or when you're trying to make an image more or less appealing. So, for instance, my daughter is substantially shorter than I am. She's, about half my size. So if I give her a camera and she takes pictures, her perspective is going to be from a lower point of view. Because of that, her images are going to be completely different than anything I could create unless I get to her height. And that works for just about any situation, in that wherever your camera is going to change the entire image substantially. So sometimes when you're looking at something, let me see if I can find some examples in here. Sometimes when you're looking, here's a perfect one. When you're looking at something and you like the way it looks, just changing your perspective could ultimately change the shot. This one here, it was actually kind of dark out and I needed to shoot steadily, so I put my camera on the ground. And as you can see, all these cars look a lot bigger because of it. Now that's a forced perspective. We're forced to look at this image from the perspective that I shot it. And that's a technique. Not only is that a technique, but it's a way of looking at things a little bit differently. What I always tell people, or the kids mostly, my students, is try to take a picture that your mom wouldn't take. Of course, it's easy to just hold the camera up and shoot it at your face level and point at what you're pointing at, but changing your perspective is always going to change the image, and it's always going to add a different element to it. So, as far as pre-visualizing things goes, that's one of the things that you should think about when you see something that you want to photograph. Say I want to photograph this camera, and I'm looking around the whole room, and all I see is this camera. Now I know that I want to photograph this camera, but I still don't know how. I still don't know where I'm going to be at. I still don't know what I'm going to include in my photo, and I still don't know what perspective in which I want to shoot it. Me personally, I like to get level with the item or the subject that I'm shooting, so I would probably shoot this level, table level, which is not my eye level. I would have to get down. So I mean, that's a great example of adapting, and don't just shoot straight ahead. Don't just shoot standing up wherever you're walking all the time, because your perspective will always be the perspective you see every damn day. If you don't bend your knees a little bit or arch your back sometimes or get on the ground, you're never going to have different images. And that's number one, is changing your perspective. But ultimately, getting back to what I said earlier, photography is putting frames around something. It's putting a box around a certain subject and figuring out what you want to do with that box. So another form of pre-visualization is seeing your subject, but deciding what else you want in your frame. You see your subject, I see this blower bulb, and I decide, well, do I want this blower bulb in the frame, or do I want this blower bulb and this camera in the frame, or do I want this blower bulb, this camera, and all this stuff over here in the frame? Those are different focal lengths or different places to stand. So something else you should think of is when you're walking out there and you're trying to take a picture of something and you see your subject, you see what you want, don't just pull your camera up and start taking pictures of it. Stop for a second and see what you want, and then look at it and see where you want to shoot it from, and then think about what perspective you might want to shoot it from, and then think about what kind of lighting you might want on that subject. The possibilities are endless. This is obviously kind of a weird thing for me to talk about, but I feel it is pretty crucial, because it might be something that you're obviously doing, but if you are thinking about it and a little bit more conscious of it, you will be doing it more. And doing it more is ultimately more rewarding, because if you pre-visualize your shot and then take the picture and it comes out to be what you thought, what you pictured, what you wanted, then you're done, and it's the most rewarding thing ever. And that is being a photographer. That is what we're all after, is trying to make the image exactly how we see it in our heads. So basically, pre-visualizing your shot is exactly what you need to do in order to get what you want. If you're out there just shooting aimlessly, just taking pictures and snapshotting, everyone's going to get lucky. There's so many things to photograph, and there's so many things that look good, but you want your photos to look good because you decided them to look good, not because it ended up looking good by chance. So, alrighty, so I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit more about what else you could do to pre-visualize your shot. So pre-visualizing is more than just seeing something and thinking about how you want it to be photographed. There's obviously more that goes into that. And what I'm talking about is there needs to be some sort of decision making in this process. You as the photographer need to make some choices in the matter to dictate how your shot's going to end up. So one of those choices would be depth of field. After you've decided what perspective to shoot your subject from, and what angle to shoot it at, you're going to have to decide, well, how sharp do I want this subject? Do I want there to be sharpness in the background? Do I not want there to be sharpness in the background? Maybe if it's a moving subject, you might want some motion blur, you don't want some motion blur. And because of that, you have to decide something. So you have to decide either an aperture or a shutter speed, and then obviously change the other. So for this subject, I've decided that I want a soft background, so I'm going to shoot at 2.8, we'll say, and it's actually pretty low light in here. So if I was shooting at a 400 ISO, I might have some limitations, but that's okay. Limitations are what makes us better. So I would, probably set this on the table. That's the perspective I want, is eye level with the subject. I would want to frame up my whole shot with the camera because there's not really anything else interesting in here. I would set my focus on the front element, and I would want the fallout to fall back and lose detail. Now I've made those decisions, so when I go and take the photo of my beautiful camera here, when it turns out that way, I'm going to feel a little bit more accomplished. I'm going to feel like, I made that image. Um, but the one thing I wanted to tell you guys is that in this decision making process, there's some things that aren't really variable. Um, ISO is one of them. So for us film shooters out there, ISO is not a variable. It's not something that we get to choose. And for you digital shooters, I would highly, highly encourage you to treat it the same way, because when you're changing ISO, you're changing your shutter speed and your aperture and everything else involved, and you're not really going to learn anything. And you're also not going to be faced with those limitations that might make for a better photo down the line. So I know it seems a little silly, but I would recommend to any digital shooter out there, try not changing your ISO for just the whole day. Just set it up and shoot whatever you have to shoot at that ISO. If your shutter speed is going to be slow, maybe you need to open your lens up, and it's going to change things for you. Give yourself some limitations, because limitations will inevitably make different images. It'll inevitably give you something that you wouldn't have had before. Obviously, it's nice to always have 500th of a second shutter speed, no matter what your aperture, but it's not realistic. It's I don't know. Maybe I'm just a purist, but anyways, we'll continue. Um, so, putting frames around things, like I said, you got to think about what you want in your shot, how you want it in your shot, and once you do decide that, then you have to make some decisions on whether you want fallout or no fallout. Um, Therefore, the shutter speed would then be dictated by the available light, of course. But this is the process of making an image. This is the process of making something. You're not just taking pictures. You're not just out there snap shooting. You're creating something, because you are making all of the decisions involved. We don't do that anymore. Even when I pull my cell phone out, I can't pull it out without taking six photos, and that's because I'm snap shooting. I'm just blindly taking pictures. I haven't pre-visualized a damn thing. I haven't thought about a damn thing. I just pull my phone out and I take a picture of whatever the hell it is. But when I sit down and I take a second and I pull out a different camera and I get to choose my focus and I get to choose my perspective and I get to choose all those things, the results are infinitely better. So I think that this should be, it's a very good example that compare your cell phone photos to your camera photos. The difference is going to be huge, I'm assuming. Because one you shoot without thinking and one you shoot hopefully with thinking. Now, if you add a little bit more thinking into the process, then inevitably the quality of your photos is going to get better. There's no reason why it wouldn't. Just the other day, I was taking a picture of this tricycle, and the light was good, and I framed up my shot the way I want it, and then the sun went behind a cloud. So what did I do? I sat there, I bent down, found the perspective I wanted, found the spot that I wanted to be standing, turned the wheel of the tricycle the right way, and I pre-visualized my shot. I marked the ground where I was standing with my boots, and I waited for the light to come out. And when the light came out, I stood right back in that spot that I had marked on the ground, that after all the research and the looking I did, and I took one frame. And the one frame turned out excellent because I used the correct exposure. And then that's the best part. That's the best part, is that once you pre-visualize your shot, the only thing you have to worry about is getting the correct exposure. That's it. And so I did that, and I took one picture, and I was done. And then I went inside, and that was it. Now, that to me is the true test of a photographer, is can you go out and take one picture? Can you go out and look at a subject and take one good picture of it? So for anybody watching this, I challenge you guys. I challenge you guys to go out and do it. Please go out, walk around with your camera, find a subject, take 3 or 4 laps around that subject, looking at it from every angle. Bend your knees, sit on the ground and look at it. Give it a long, hard look. Figure out exactly where it looks best to you, and figure out what aperture you want to shoot at. Say you want to shoot at f8 and it's sunny outside. 500th of a second f8. Cool. Shoot it, and just one photo, and I'd like to see it. Hashtag just one photo on Instagram. I challenge any of you guys out there to do it, please. I'd love to see the feedback, but I'd also love to see exactly what you guys make when you consciously think about it, when you consciously go out and try hard. And I'll do the same. If you guys tag some of these, I will do the same, and I'll go out there and just take one picture. And if it doesn't turn out, why wouldn't it turn out? Would it be the exposure wrong? There's no excuse for that. And as far as the composition goes, well, you're going to do all the thinking beforehand, so there shouldn't be any reason why it wouldn't turn out good, correct? It's pretty much really straightforward. So, yeah, I just wanted to make this video just to kind of explain to you guys my thought process, and also just break things down a little more. If you go out and you make a photo, it's something you've created. You're making it and not taking it. We all know the difference between making something and taking something. They're not nearly the same at all. One is something to be proud of, and the other is not. Now, not to say that taking pictures is a bad thing, but I prefer the term making photographs. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to make images, make photographs consciously and, educated. So, anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'm done rambling now, and I hope that this video is helpful or insightful to even at least one of you guys out there. And please go take just one photo. Hashtag just one photo on Instagram, and I would love to see it. So, anyways, until next time, thank you guys for watching, and keep on shooting.